Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Friday, February 17th, and we have a 3-day weekend in the U.S. markets coming up. Monday is President's Day, George Washington's birthday, for those of you who are international. European markets will be open on Monday, but U.S. markets will be closed. So I have a feeling that traditional finance close today is greatly going to impact the outlook for crypto over the weekend. As we've been talking about yesterday and a couple days before, crypto is obviously, decorrelated from equities a bit and has been on the rise along with the dollar, surprisingly. Even though equities, have taken a continued tumble this morning, as you can see here by just price action from the night, from yesterday afternoon all the way to this morning, Bitcoin is, recovering. We did have that nasty dip yesterday, but our, from the lows that we saw around 7 p.m. Eastern time, we're now higher. So fascinating price action so far. And I do think that this, when we see crypto strength in relation to equities weakness, especially heading into a weekend where the traditional casino, so to speak, is closed, that is, typically a good sign for the crypto investors and traders. So very much something to take note of, although it is not, a definite. So as we look at DXY, where we were very early this morning, is we had a 4-hour close with a nice decent wick above the previous daily close. But as you know, we do like to use the previous daily close as potential support and resistance for the next day. And we are now beneath the previous daily close and heading lower. So the line in the sand was, if you can stay above the, that 104 number, probably head higher to 105, but underneath it, you're probably aiming back towards 103.5. So if it does accept back down here, that would be a pretty large deviation for DXY, and would likely be very fond or very friendly towards the bulls across all risk markets. So the more DXY relaxes, the more I think you'll see equities and crypto have a little bit more fun. Obviously, I think this is in relation to why we've seen equities, consolidate and take a bit of a tumble. But again, seeing crypto's strength is certainly something to take note of, and you might have to respect it over the weekend, especially with how current price action is looking. So we know what DXY is likely to do. Do watch out for a potential catch at around 103.7. I don't think this would be the end all be all for a crypto run, but it is certainly important to understand where DXY ends when the U.S. market session closes today, which is, I believe, around 3 or 4 p.m. Eastern. So not too many hours left in the U.S. markets. And we have seen lots of Friday bumps for crypto in terms of bullish direction since the start of the year. So trends don't last forever, but it's important to notice them when they are running. So looking at equities, the moral of the story here is, we did break beneath that 4,100 number, which I believe to be a critical number, and we are now, firmly beneath the previous daily close. But the key trigger here is we're, above 40.50. That's been solid support, and all the way down to 40.40, in my opinion, is the area we need to survive. So obviously this has been on a downward trajectory, starting to form kind of a megaphone pattern. Bulls really want to see this bust higher and attack the previous daily close by the end of today's session. Remember, there's only, 3 or 4 more hours left in the trading session today, maybe only 2 or 3 hours left in the trading session. So you really want a strong close from equities over the next few hours into the close. And I think, targeting that previous daily close would be the right number. Of course, by the time we open on Monday, if you can start to break back up above 4,100, that may coincide with, DXY deviation down lower. That would be very good for markets abroad, both crypto and equity. So if we're above 40.50, I think risk markets are safe. If we go below 40.50 by the end of the trading session, then I think risk markets will have a reason to worry going into the weekend. Before I head over to Bitcoin and Ethereum, I think something worth mentioning is what is coming up next week in terms of major economic news. We do have PMI on Tuesday, which, PPI did give us a lot of volatility early this week. So very much something to look out for there on Tuesday morning. Of course, going on for President's Day. So keep a lookout Tuesday morning for some early volatility. That could, let's say we get a weekend boost. This could cause a little bit of bearish volatility, or volatility at resistance. So something to look out for there. FOMC meeting minutes will be important. This is basically a glimpse into context around what Jerome Powell said at the last FOMC meeting. So very specific guidance will be in here for moving forward. That may be, induce some volatility. Then we also have GDP, the Q4 revision, which is, I believe, kind of an inflation revision. So anything beneath this number would probably be bearish. Anything above this number would probably be bullish. Of course, we have some Fed Gov speaking. And then Friday PCE, which is not, in my opinion, as important as CPI. But PCE is definitely a core inflation metric as it pertains to the consumer. And we do have some, consumer spending and personal income. So this is a pretty big Friday, in my opinion. You're getting, very consumer specific inflation data. And who runs, the majority of the U.S. economy? Consumers are really pushing, things forward or things back based on spending patterns. So if this does, if PCE closes below expectations of personal income, closes, below expectations, if consumer spending closes below expectations, all bad for the market. So something to look out for next week, and we'll obviously cover that early in the week, but we may not speak until after the Tuesday PMI comes in. So very much something to look out for there. As we look at Bitcoin, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out on the 4 hour because I think that's more pertinent for the weekend. As you can see here, all of these, lines, and pardon me there. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these because it's a little bit tough to view on the 4 hour, but God, I got a hiccup there. My apologies. So the fact that we're above 24K, very positive. That's basically deviation. So the story is 24K, resistance previously, now acting as support. We basically deviated under 24K, and now we are back in the top part of the range. So very significant for Bitcoin here. You definitely want to see it stay above 24K for likely continuation. And of course, 25K, I've got it listed as 24.9, but we do really need to break 25K to lift higher. So if you can flip this into support, and then you'll have room to move higher. Now, if we accept back below 24K, it is not the end all be all yet. You would really want to see this previous daily close hold at 25 or 23.5. And as low as 23.3 hold. If you start accepting back below 23.3, you're then going to be underneath the weekly VWAP, and you're going to be firmly underneath resistance from late January, early February, which would likely push you back down into the demand zone, which would likely then coincide with the estimated 200 moving average by the time it got there. So that's not the end of the world. But definitely being below the VWAP and below the estimated 200 moving average would be considered bearish. And as you can see here, underneath the VWAP but above the estimated 200 moving average led to the previous boost that we had. So two good signals there that you may want to watch out for if we do get bearish price action. But being above 24K, in my opinion, is very good and is reason to believe that there is potential momentum to head higher. Very good daily close too. A daily close above 24.3 would be very bullish, as you'd be engulfing the previous candle body. We obviously still have this swing failure pattern wick to worry about, but closing the daily above the previous body candle, as well as the first candle for the boost on the 15th, would, in my opinion, be quite bullish for continuation. And if you get above 25K, as we explained yesterday, there is a large fair value gap between 25K and 28K that we've called out a similar pattern on lots of alts, and now it's presenting on majors. So very much something to consider there for Bitcoin if we do head higher. But in my opinion, close above 24.3 on the daily, very good. Anything less than that, I think you're still going to have volatility within this range before a breakout. So that's how I'm looking at things right now. Not exactly piping longs, but did, participate a bit on this dip. And I think that we do have some gusto to head higher as long as equities cooperate, which is still, up for debate. So looking at Ethereum, we're going to go ahead and zoom out on the 4-hour. Again, I'm going to go ahead and reconfigure these candles, or I mean these predictions for you. So, very similar to Bitcoin, deviation, underneath what was previously resistance. Technically you could call resistance as high as here, but I think 1650 is a much more significant number. Obviously, we're still above the previous daily close, had a nice bounce up. I think we definitely want to close above 1680 for bullish continuation on both the 4-hour and the 1 daily. I think that would be a very positive candle close, close above this body, close that body, and close above all of the bodies previously from late January and early February. That would be very helpful for continuation. But of course, it is still important to remember that we do have this wick up here, which does mean that there's some sell side liquidity that may be sitting and lurking, as this does coincide with the high from mid-September. And then the next high we would target if we broke above 1760 would be that 1990, or that basically 2K. Although it's, my line is at 1999, 2K is really the magic number in that scenario. So close above, 1680. I think you've got some bullish momentum for ETH. Close above 24.3. I think you've got some bullish momentum for Bitcoin. And of course, remember, we do want to see equities stay above 4050. It does seem to be a little bit overzealous to see it try and attack the 4080 number, but above 4050, definitely positive heading into the weekend. Anything below that will certainly make me reconfigure my bias in relation to crypto. But even if equities do close a little poor, we do have our targets for crypto that are worth paying attention to, even though equities look ugly, because while equities have looked like this, Bitcoin has looked like that. So, take it with a grain of salt in terms of equities. But, correlation to decorrelation only lasts so long. So, although we have decorrelated, the question lies, will we come back to correlation? When will that occur if it does, and what signs look out for? Of course, that's a lot of nuance to assess. I don't have a specific answer for you now, but until the trend snaps back for correlation, I think you can continue to play the decorrelation trend to your favor. So good luck, happy trading, and I'll see everybody likely Tuesday. Maybe we do a little Monday President's Day session for fun. But everybody enjoy the long holiday in the US, and fingers crossed for crypto to continue the climb as we head into the weekend.